This changed my life.
I think that's always the happiest. Every time I see my dog do something very well and he gets his reward, I think that's the greatest thing.
Mac, come here. Mac, come. I never, ever talked. Now I'm talking to everybody.
Learning to control the service dog, Mac came knowing over 90 commands. So to learn how to operate him, she had to learn what he knew and say the commands firmly and clearly and speak up. We applied for things like when Shelby drops items and he retrieves them and things, physical things. We had no idea that through getting this dog and learning how to work with him that she would gain a voice and confidence.
I forgot to tell you this, but he can speak. Speak! Ah! Speak!
We actually had applied to a larger service dog organization originally, but unfortunately Shelby had a severe fear of dogs. We found Cope service dogs. These dogs are mainly trained for mobility service, and we started going to look at the dogs and at a safe distance, and that's originally how we found them. Then the instructors that came, they brought the dogs, but they just sat at the front door and they were told to stay. So she realized that they were listening, they were under control. We have a program called Canines in the Classroom where the high school students help train the dogs. So Mac was actually in that program at Shelby's high school. So she met him in the hallway and he came up and did this. He put his head in her lap and said hello, like this. He's very snuggly. One of the most difficult things I think is when he wears his jacket out in public and they immediately, oh, service dog, working dog, don't touch, which is great. But a lot of people still are just reach out and pet, especially in crowded places. They're touching him, and every time he gets touched, his focus then is now not on Shelby anymore. He's distracted. It is difficult because he is such a social dog. He does, as you can see, he loves the attention. We would like for people to be more aware of that. And in Shelby's case, part of his job is very social, to attract people to her, because people would before look at the wheelchair and not approach her.
When I was at school, he used to be able to attract friends.
Happiest moment. I want to say Shelby and Big Mac graduating from high school. Mac also had a cap and gown. We had someone make it for us. And he went across the stage and received a diploma from the principal and shook the principal's hand. They were the very first to graduate out of, the 300 kids that were there. And everyone was applauding because the whole high school knew who they were. They were very popular in school. And to see all of that support and love.
She is what's called a general purpose dog. So she's used to track human scent, fresh human scent. So she can track people if they've run away from a place. So somebody breaks into a house, goes over 10 fences, across 2 streets and hides in a shed. Then we can put Siren into that backyard where there's fresh human scent. She'll go over 10 fences, across 2 streets and find that person in a shed. When we know that's the bad guy or the missing person, because they can find missing people as well, if we know that they've been in a certain area or they've been in a backyard specific, we need that area uncontaminated so that the only scent is in there is either the bad guy or the missing person. So then we can start on that. And then if we do encounter a cross-contamination with another person, the dogs can work through that because they've got enough of that original human scent.
For the most part, the German Shepherds are the general purpose dogs because they are confident, they're very agile, and their speed is, they're very quick. For detection work, we're finding narcotics, explosives, things that we use, the Springer Spaniels and the Labrador Retrievers.
I operate a dog that is both a general purpose dog as well as a cadaver dog. In a case such as the one that's before the courts now, that is in the news, he is one of the dogs that have helped locate evidence in that case itself. We have 2 cadaver dogs that work here in Toronto, as well as the other cadaver dogs we use throughout Ontario as well. So when we all die, we all have a certain order, and that order is what our dogs are looking for. My dog's been trained in all kinds of specific order throughout his training. So I've had him at people who have passed away within hours, and I've had him at scenes where we have had bones that have been dated from 800 to 1200 years old, and he's located those as well. So the more I expose my dog to all the different ages of decomposition, whether it's, like I say, buried or not buried, those kind of things. A human that could have passed away in the woods is laying there. All those things affect the way the odor comes off the body. So the more we have our dogs trained in all those aspects, the better the dog becomes.
Best friend all the time. I believe he loves having a job. He loves being needed to do tasks. So when she asks him to do something for her, he's very happy to do it.
I love him.
We're happy as dog handlers when our dogs do what they're trained to do. So if she goes out there and finds a bad guy, that's a happy day.